Let's get one thing straight. People don't accidentally disrespect you. It's not a misunderstanding. It's not a joke. It's not just how they are. Disrespect is a message. It says, I don't see your worth. And if you don't respond, you're agreeing with them. The first time someone disrespects you, it's a test. Not of them, but of you. They're watching to see what you'll do, how you'll react. Will you shrink? Will you laugh it off? Will you excuse it and say they didn't mean it? Because the second you justify their disrespect, they know they have power over you. And people will never treat you better than the level of disrespect you tolerate. Disrespect isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it shows up in jokes that cut too deep. Sarcasm with an edge, just kidding comments that feel like daggers. Sometimes it's silence when you need support. Indifference when you expect loyalty. Ignoring your wins. Downplaying your struggles. That's disrespect wearing a mask, but it's still a punch to the gut. And if you swallow it once, they'll serve it to you again. Stronger. Colder. Crueler. When someone crosses a line and you let it slide, you didn't keep the peace, you started a war inside yourself. You taught them that your boundaries are flexible. That your voice is optional. That your worth is negotiable. And let me tell you this, it's not. Your worth is non-refundable. But you treat it like a clearance sale every time you stay quiet to protect someone who doesn't care about protecting you. People don't keep disrespecting you because they don't know better. They keep doing it because they know you won't stop them. You trained them. Every time you stayed. Every time you said it's fine. Every time you answered the phone after they ghosted you. Every time you let them back in without consequence. You handed them a roadmap, and now they're driving over your self-worth like it's a speed bump. We live in a world where silence is misread as weakness, where politeness is mistaken for permission, where the person who says nothing is expected to endure everything. But silence is not strength when it protects the wrong people. Silence becomes a cage. It locks your voice behind bars and hands the key to those who least deserve it. You cannot change people. You cannot make someone respect you by being more understanding, more patient, more forgiving. You cannot earn respect from someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. You cannot win over people who need you to be small so they can feel big. The second time they disrespect you, that's not them making a mistake. That's them recognizing you won't stop them. That's them betting on your fear, betting on your need for approval, betting on your low standards. And when you don't correct it, when you don't respond, when you don't walk, you're not being kind. You're being complicit. There is no growth in letting people stomp all over your value while you call it love or loyalty or not wanting to cause drama. Real loyalty has limits. Real love has boundaries. Real strength is saying you don't get to treat me like that, not once, not ever again. People fear confrontation because they think it leads to conflict. But the truth is, avoiding confrontation creates the conflict. The war you avoid outside becomes the one you fight inside. You become bitter. You become resentful. You lose sleep over words you should have said and actions you should have taken. You walk around with your self-esteem bleeding out because you were too afraid to speak up when it mattered. It's not your job to fix people who hurt you. It's not your duty to guide someone back to respect. If someone sees your value and still chooses to violate it, they're not confused, they're comfortable. Comfortable with you putting them first. Comfortable with you letting things slide. Comfortable with you breaking yourself just to keep the peace. And here's the truth. The second time they disrespect you, it's not on them anymore. It's on you. That's your decision. That's your line in the sand that never got drawn. That's your silence that gave them permission. That's your fear talking louder than your self-respect. And the longer you stay in that space, the harder it gets to climb out of it. Because the more you accept, the more you lose yourself. You teach people how to treat you every single day, not with your words, but with your standards. Your reactions, your exits, your silence can either be self-control or self-betrayal, and the difference is who you're protecting with it. Disrespect doesn't just show up in relationships, it happens at work, with family, in friendships. Every time someone interrupts you, dismisses your ideas, laughs when you're vulnerable, uses your time without gratitude, that's a moment of truth. That's a choice. And the more you normalize it, the more it becomes your life. There's a moment in everyone's life when they realize that the way they've been treated has nothing to do with being unlucky and everything to do with what they've allowed. That moment stings. It humbles you. But it also wakes you up. Because when you see it clearly, you stop making excuses for people who show you exactly who they are. The question isn't, why do they treat me like this? The question is, why do I let them? And the moment you answer that truthfully, your life begins to change. Because once you recognize your silence is feeding their behavior, you take the power back. You stop being the victim of their choices and become the guardian of your boundaries. It's not about revenge. It's not about ego. It's about clarity. You either demand respect or you drown without it. People don't change when you beg them to. They change when they realize you're not afraid to lose them. The people who love you will adjust. The ones who don't will accuse you of being difficult, dramatic, or cold. That's fine. Let them talk. Let them leave. Let them call you everything except what you are done. You don't need to announce your worth. You just need to stop negotiating it. The second time they cross the line, you don't redraw it. You remove it. You remove access. You remove energy. You remove the version of yourself that thought tolerating that level of treatment was normal. Respect isn't asked for. It's expected. And once someone shows you who they are, believe it the first time, because the second time, that's not about them anymore. That's you deciding how the story ends. The moment you start expecting respect from others without first giving it to yourself, you've already lost the battle. We think respect is something we can demand from people, but we forget that the first place it starts is with us. When you respect yourself, your life changes. And that respect doesn't need to be announced to anyone. It shows up in your actions, your choices, your energy. It becomes impossible for people to disrespect you when you set the standard for how they can treat you. You can't expect people to honor your boundaries when you don't honor them yourself. You can't expect people to see your worth when you don't see it yourself. The way you value yourself is how the world will value you. The people who show up in your life, whether they are family, friends, colleagues, or strangers, can only treat you as well as you treat yourself. If you're constantly putting others' needs before your own, bending over backwards to please people who don't even appreciate it, you're telling the universe that your needs don't matter. And when that happens, the disrespect from others is just a reflection of how little respect you're showing yourself. You might think being kind to others, constantly putting them first, is a way to gain respect, but here's the truth. Respect is earned through boundaries, not by being a doormat. If you're letting people walk all over you because you don't want to rock the boat or create conflict, you're teaching them that disrespect is acceptable. You can't fix a situation by ignoring it, and you certainly can't fix a relationship by tolerating behavior that makes you uncomfortable. The longer you stay silent, the more that silence becomes your weakness. The more you accept their treatment, the more they will disrespect you. Respect doesn't require an apology. It doesn't need to be begged for or bartered. You don't need to convince someone that you're worthy of their time, their energy, or their kindness. You simply need to be worthy of it by respecting yourself first. And the moment you begin to respect yourself, you stop tolerating the crap others throw your way. You stop making excuses for people who treat you poorly. You stop allowing others to deplete you emotionally, physically, or mentally, because you've learned that the only energy you're responsible for is your own. When you start respecting yourself, everything changes. You don't wait for validation. You don't seek approval. You don't need to apologize for taking up space, for saying no, for walking away from situations that no longer serve you. You stop seeking the approval of people who don't matter, and you stop wasting your energy on people who make you feel small. You realize that your time, your peace, and your happiness are yours to protect. And if someone doesn't respect that, they don't deserve to be in your life. There's a fine line between being considerate of others and being so self-sacrificing that you lose yourself. If you're the person who always says yes even when you want to say no, if you're the one who goes out of their way to make others comfortable while you're drowning in your own discomfort, you've crossed that line. You've put others' needs above your own, and in doing so, you've told them that your boundaries are flexible, that your needs can wait. And here's the thing, they won't ever put you first if you don't. When you respect yourself, you stop being afraid of conflict. You stop fearing the what ifs. What if they get mad? What if they don't understand? What if they leave? You realize that the people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. They will appreciate your honesty. They will value your presence because you've learned how to value yourself. The people who will disrespect you the most are the ones who thrive on your self-doubt. They want you to feel guilty for choosing yourself, for saying no, for standing up for what you need. But here's the reality: you are not obligated to meet the needs of everyone else at the cost of your own well-being. That's not love. That's not respect. That's self-neglect. The moment you stop being afraid of losing people who don't respect you is the moment you start winning. When you respect yourself, you no longer beg for someone's time or attention. You no longer allow people to use you as their emotional punching bag, their backup plan, or their safety net when they need someone to lean on. You stop making excuses for why you tolerate their disrespect, and you start choosing who gets access to your energy, your heart. The truth is, there will always be people who will try to take from you without giving anything in return. The real question is, will you allow them to? Will you let them strip away your peace, your sense of self, your joy, just because you're afraid of being alone or rejected? Will you continue to chase the approval of people who don't respect you? You can't respect someone else if you don't first respect yourself. And that respect shows up in everything you do. It shows up in how you talk to yourself, in how you protect your boundaries, in how you treat your body, your mind, and your soul. It shows up in the decisions you make and the people you choose to surround yourself with, in the relationships you build. When you respect yourself, you no longer need anyone's validation. You no longer feel the need to justify your choices or explain your worth. You simply know your value, and you carry it with confidence. But the second you stop respecting yourself, you open the door for others to walk all over you. You give them permission to treat you however they want because you've told them that you don't matter. You've told them that your time, your feelings, your boundaries aren't important. You've trained them to see you as someone they can take from without ever giving anything back. And once you've done that, it becomes harder and harder to walk away, to set boundaries, to say no. Because deep down, you believe that you're not worthy of anything better. You believe that you don't deserve respect. But that's a lie. And the moment you realize it is the moment everything changes. You don't need anyone else to respect you before you respect yourself. When you respect yourself, the people around you have no choice but to follow your lead. When you show up with self-respect, others will be forced to either meet your standards or fall away. And the ones who fall away, they were never meant to be in your life anyway. Self-respect isn't arrogance. It isn't pride. It's the quiet understanding that you are worthy of peace, of love, of kindness, and of joy. It's the inner knowing that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's approval, and that you are